welcome to Off Air and Online, where we uplift, enlighten, and encourage. I'm Lindsey Wopschall. Today we're speaking to Anthony Munoz. I don't know if you know him, but he played for the Bengals for 13 years, and personally my favorite because, yes, he is a Trojan. Fight on. He has a wonderful story, and I don't know if you know much about it because you're probably more interested in his accomplishments. But what you're going to find from talking to him today is he embraces the struggle, and he has had to overcome challenges. And through those challenges, the thing that's gotten him where he needs to go the most is his faith in people and his faith in God. Take a look. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us. This is a wonderful opportunity. And today we're talking about the struggle and kind of embracing the struggle. And you're a man we know for achievements. You know, we're just looking at your career highlights. 11-time pro selection, 9-time AP first team, 2-time AP second team All-Pro, 3-time Offensive Lineman of the Year, Bar Star Man of the Year, Waltman Payton Man of the Year, NFL 1980s All-Decade Team, Pro Football Hall of Fame. It sounds so easy when you put it like that, but I know it probably wasn't. And I know you have a pretty wonderful story to tell about that.
Well, you know, it's exciting that I had the opportunity to be a member of the Bengals for 13 years and to be a part of some great teams with great players. I mean, I just go right down the list from my rookie year, guys like Kenny Anderson, Isaac Curtis, Kenny Riley, all the way through my career with, you know, Boomer Esiason and Max Montoya, and you just go player after player. So the fact that, you know, you rattle off those stats, I'm very thankful. I'm humbled by that. But you're right. You know, as an NFL football player, I didn't come here in 1980 and just roll out of bed in Delhi, where I lived my first year, and then ran to, you know, rode over to Spinney. All of a sudden, you know, that happened. Spinney Field, our practice facility. It was a journey, and I think that's the great thing about when I hear those statistics. You know, I've been out of the league for 22 years, and I hear those things. I don't focus on those as much as I really focus on the journey, and that's really what motivates me to go out and share my story, is because a lot of times we can get discouraged, not only with the pressure we put on ourselves, but with the naysayers that are out there saying, you know, you can't do this. But to tell young people, enjoy the ride. It's not going to be easy. Don't listen to those people that say you can't do it. Listen to the people that are going to encourage you and help you along the way. And so that's why, you know, it really is exciting to hear that, because I know that not only through my 13 years was it tough in the NFL and my 4 years at USC, but growing up. So it's a combination of youth, you know, teenage years, young adulthood, and then during my adult years as a member of the Bengals, and even now that I'm retired, you know, things aren't always easy, but you learn to work through it. And I tell most people, I said, first of all, I've not met someone that has accomplished a lot that hasn't gone through some adversity. So young people, it's not a matter if, but when you go through it, how you're going to come out of the other end of it. And
so you talked about those younger years. What did that look like for you?
Well, you know, it was good and bad. I mean, the great thing is, you know, the freedom I had as a young man to put my baseball glove on my handlebars and just go play 2-3 games a day during the summer. The responsibility of taking care of my chores in the summer with my siblings, because mom was leaving at 6 in the morning, working 2-3 jobs, so we had to learn how to clean house and make sure that was all done, you know, fix our breakfast, fix our food after mom left, to take care of ourselves. Then we could go enjoy that.
How does things like that, you know, where you do have a mom away and you do have chores, how do you think that made you more determined, more successful, you know, throughout your career?
Well, first of all, it teaches a responsibility, that things aren't going to, you know, I didn't have my breakfast laid on the table in a silver platter. She cooked a lot when she could, but it teaches you responsibility. It teaches you accountability. It teaches you discipline. You don't cook, you don't eat. And then, you know, you don't take care of your chores. It teaches you to appreciate what you get, because I knew once those were done, it was to the baseball field. Let's see how many games we can play in that day. And baseball is my first love. That's what I started playing. So it teaches you a lot about yourself and what you have to do. And you know that even though we didn't have a whole lot, we had a whole lot.
Right.
You know, we had a team. And I tell people, I speak a lot of times on leadership, and I talk about, you know, the CEO or the head coach. Well, we knew who our head coach CEO was. That was my mom.
Yeah.
She raised 5 kids, and she taught us how to work together as a team. So we learned all the things we had to do, and it really, as you're growing up, and now as a husband, a father, a grandfather, business owner, or someone that runs a charity, that it's all about hard work, and you can't take things for granted.
When you wake up every day, what gets you going?
Well, usually, my wife and I, more times than not, will pray in the morning.
Okay.
And then it's 5:30 down to the basement, and I get a workout in. I just sit there, and that gives me a chance to just, physically get after it, mentally think about, my day and what I need to do, and then I'm ready to go. So it's, prayer and working out. So those are the 2 things that really get me going in the morning.
How has faith and your spiritual life helped you throughout this journey?
It's been everything. It's been the biggest component of my life. My sophomore year at USC, and that's the real USC, University of Southern California.
That's right? We're wearing it right here because we're both SoCal kids. From
Not, being this part of the country, they say USC and people think, Columbia, South Carolina. I say, no, the real USC.
We're right here.
Yeah. So, getting back to my point, my wife and I, got married my sophomore year in college.
Right.
So it was during class, during spring football, and then that's the 1 year I played baseball. So I was doing all 3. We got married on Saturday morning, San Diego for a night, then back to LA, for school and all the other things. So that was in April of 1978, and to me, I thought that was the biggest decision in my life. But I can say it was the second biggest decision, because after being married several years in October, that's when our spiritual journey started. And I realized that at 6'6", 300 pounds, I can't do things alone. I don't have the strength and the wisdom and and everything you need. And that's really when my faith walk started, was 37 years ago. So I realized, first of all, I'm no big deal.
Yeah.
I realized I can't take things for granted, and especially going through all the injuries in college, really having to lean on my faith. And even through, not only through adversity, but through the good times. So I've learned that during my walk that, He's there, the Lord is there, in the bad times and the good times. It's just a matter of us recognizing that. So 37 years ago, I realized that I needed Him. And like I said, my faith has been the biggest part of my life. My marriage, my being a father, being a grandfather, and of course being a pro athlete. And now what I do every day, it's like, okay, Lord, what can I do when I wake up? What can I do to impact these young people? What can I do to help out our small companies? What can I do to give back to the community? And so it's been a tough journey, but it's been a journey I would not trade for anything.
And I love how you start your morning that way. And we're talking right now about how you dedicate time set aside, because just like anything, religion, spirituality, you need to take time out of your day to practice it, to become better at it.
You really do. And, and not only in the morning, but when I'm driving, I'm praying. And I mean, we're driving around, especially a day like this. I don't understand how you can't be thankful for a day like this, and just waking up and going to do something you love doing. And and I thank Him for, like I said, even through the tough times, because one of the things we always shared with our 2 kids when they were growing up, we said the tree grows best in the valley. The tree does not grow best right up on top of the mountain. So and we really truly believe, and they believe, that when we taught them, and even now when they're parenting now, that God does not waste any opportunity for us to learn.
Right. I love that. I've never heard that. That's great. So then going through college, and then you have knee injuries, and you were one of the people that, when we were time for NFL draft, a little questionable, but you were 3rd picked, and that was a struggle too. Kind of share with me what that felt like.
Yeah, I mean, it was like freshman year, 7 games, things are going well. Well, first knee operation. So you're 18, you're young. I'll bounce back. Sophomore year, I play all the way through, have a decent year. Junior year, 7 games in the season, another knee injury. Okay, what's going on here? So going into my senior year, it's like, there's 3 of us. We're working at oil refinery during the day. We're getting home at dinner time, and we're busting it. We're lifting, we're running. We just come off a national championship my junior year, and we're going into our senior year because projections, my 2 buddies are projected high. I'm projected high, and I mean, for linemen, we were just, probably in the best shape I'd been in, in college or prior to college. And, second time we have the football, I'm laying there on the turf, and I knew the feeling. I said, when we get back to L.A., I'm going back to that hospital, third time. But it was discouraging for a few minutes, because the great thing about it is I knew whatever happened, even if it was on the football field,
Right.
I'd be successful. I just knew that.
I want to stop you there for a minute. Why did you know you'd be successful? Because I think it's more of a mindset than just talent, right? I mean, talent obviously has to get you to the field, but it's the mindset and all this that has been working for you and the things you learned throughout your life. So what is it that you do every day that you continue to practice that makes you successful?
Well, I think it's a combination of the things I learned in my home, work ethic, responsibility, accountability, but then the spiritual things. God gives us commandments, and then he gives us promises.
Right.
You know, you love them, you seek them, things are going to work out. So at that time, I mean, young in my faith, I was seeking them, I was loving them, and it didn't necessarily have to be in football. But he promises that all things work together for the good to those who love him. Right. He doesn't say, after your third knee operation, love me and you're going to be successful in football.
Right.
So that's why I believe, because I knew I was going to get my body back because of the work ethic that I was taught and I learned. Was it going to be in football? No. But, I mean, I tell people if I hadn't played 13 years in the NFL, I'd probably be I've been out of college for 35, I'd probably be in high school teacher and coach for 35 years now, because I love kids that much. So to me, that would have been something that an area. But I just believed in my wife, the support that she had given me, and just working together, and just the relationship we had. So it was one of those things but it was like, I felt that I'd be successful in whatever, but I still felt that football was going to happen.
Well, it sounds like the best part of all of this was that you got to do the football and give to kids with the Anthony Munoz Foundation. Yeah. And so we were it's great because we've been talking about this God and spirituality, and that's the thing I really loved, was that you're impacting youth mentally, physically, and spiritually. Why do you feel like that is the foundation to success?
Well, I think, it's a total person, and I think, if you really have a perspective of, okay, physically, keep your body and keep it in the best shape. It gives you more energy. I believe it gives you more energy to do what you love doing. It. The mental part, always learning, always. One of the things that the attitude I always had when I was playing is always be coachable, and that's what I share with young athletes. Always be coachable. Don't get to a point where you say, "Coach, I got it," because then that's when the slippery slope starts. And so my 13th year in the NFL, I was still learning. Now, as I watch, and I mean, I'm still learning about the game. I'm still learning about offensive line play. So the mental part of it, always be coachable, and that's what I'm doing. I've been a business owner for the last 10 years. So I went from knowing how to pass block, run block, reading defenses, to learning, the last 10 years, margins, profits, and then non-for-profit, the number game. I mean, we want to make sure that we give as much money away to the kids, keep our expenses down. So I'm constantly learning, and I don't know everything I need to know. So business-wise, I'm still learning. I place myself around people that have been successful in business and pick their brains and see what they think, and hopefully it'll allow me and our business to be better with our non-for-profit. So, so the mental part of it, and then the spiritual part of it, I think that really keeps you grounded, and it helps you keep things in perspective, to not believe that you're bigger than your team, bigger than the NFL, that even though my name's on this foundation, I'm not bigger than that. I just have my name because we're utilizing and leveraging the name to bring people together. So spiritually, I believe that gives you the perspective and helps keep you grounded. So that's why I believe in the total person, the mental, the physical, and the spiritual.
And I mean, physically too, I mean, you being such a workoutaholic, obviously, because you have to be, that was your job for 13 years with the Bengals. Do you ever feel like if you take a week off, 2 weeks off, when you feel sick, your mind starts feeling sick? There's that connection there?
I do, and for me, the way God made me is I sweat like crazy, so it helps me kind of flush out colds right away. So I rarely get a cold. I get a physical at least once or twice a year, and that's probably the only time I go to a doctor is because thank God so far I haven't had to, other than shoulder that was banged up when I was playing, I had surgery and I had another infection. But as far as being sick, I really believe that helps me, and it helps my mind, and it clears things up. And quite frankly, for what I put my body through for 20 plus years, to stay moving every day really allows me to feel better. I can say that at the age of 56, the pain and soreness level is much lower than it was in my late 30s, mid 40s because of nutrition, and not that I'm a fanatic 100%.
Right.
You got to have a few
it's a
sweets
balance,
here,
right?
but staying away from the crazy stuff that is going to inflame your body. So that's a key. That's a motivator too. Being able to wake up at 5 and just jumping out of bed and working out for an hour and a half, and not having to sit there and take Advil or Aleve, and which I rarely do. So those are the type of things that at my age and having put my body through, that's an incentive and that's a motivator.
Yeah. And talking about motivators, it sounds like when I was reading through your foundation, one of the kids after going to the camp kind of said, I was taught that I can believe in myself, and if I put myself around people that believe in me, I can do anything. Because I think so often there's this shift, and I'm seeing it kind of in my age at like 25, where you kind of thrash your dreams away, and I'm gonna go get a real job or whatever. But if you believe in yourself, anything is possible. And it sounds like you believed in yourself, and that's where you got where you needed to go, and you surrounded yourself, and you're now giving that to other people.
Well, and that's a key, belief in yourself, but also you mentioned a key point there, who you surround yourself with. You have to, I really believe, and I tell people when I got in the league, I didn't know a whole lot, don't know a whole lot more now, but I do know several things. I tell these young guys, it's who you surround yourself with. People that aren't going to tell you what you want to hear, but are going to tell you what you don't want to hear.
Yeah.
They're going to ask you questions, the tough questions. And that's what holds you accountable. Right. Not someone that, I joke because my daughter was about 8. Well, she was 9 when I retired, so she was about 7, 8. And Michelle is very artistic. And so we had a big roll of butcher paper and she would draw posters and stuff. So I'd come home from a game, and she would have a poster just about every week. Great job, Dad. And I might have 2 sacks. But she would, great job, Dad, you were wonderful. And I'm bummed because I gave up 2 sacks and the quarterback was hit. So she was kind of encouraging me. Yeah. But I knew the next day my coach was going to tell me what I had to hear. And that was like, you didn't do it right. We got to improve, and that was a motivator. So you need, I tell these young guys, you need to surround yourself, not with, 20 people that are just, patting you on the back all the time, regardless to what you do and telling you you're great, but people that are looking at you and saying, let's check and see what you're doing here. Because we always told our kids, if there's 2, 3, or 4 of our closest friends that are saying something that you're doing that you need to check, you better check it.
Yeah.
You better make sure that you're looking at what you're doing. And Mom and Dad, even though we can tell you, we don't have to continually tell you, because we got some close friends that believe and are going to affirm what we believe and ask you to look at that. So I think that's a key. When you mention, who you surround yourself with, I can tell you that Dee Dee and I, from day one in Cincinnati, we've been here 35 years now, that's one thing that we purposely did, and we have relationships that have been 30 to 35 years as we live here. Yeah. And
still growing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's phenomenal, and that's a key. Not that you alienate yourself from your teammates and the sports fans. You do that because that's part of it. I mean, the fans are the best here. I mean, I'm out and about, and I just love interacting with the fans. It doesn't matter what part of town. I can be in Mason where I live, or Indian Hill, or over the Rhine, and I'll stop and I'll talk to people on the streets, and they're the ones that made it possible.
Right.
So with our teammates, I still hang out with them. When I was playing every Thursday night, it was dinner at the boathouse. Boomer would take all the guys. So you hang out with the guys. Right. You get to know them. And the great thing about this community, I don't know the exact number, but I'd be accurate in saying maybe 40 to 50 guys that I've played with still live here.
Yeah.
Guys like me from California, from Florida, from Texas, from all over the country. They make Cincinnati their home, so I get a chance to really see a lot of those guys.
Well, Anthony, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I really
you.
appreciate it, and it's wonderful to see how much you've done and will continue to do.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
What are you doing to help your mind, body, and spirit? That's something Anthony talked a lot about, that he prays in the morning, that he works out right after, and he is clearly still learning. You should do that too. It'll fill you up with so much. I know I'm constantly learning. I actually consider myself a lifelong learner. But one thing he also does, embraces the struggle, and he has to overcome a lot of things, and we all will in our lives. But you must push through, because that's when we succeed, is when we get to that place. So then later we can have a laundry list of achievements just like Anthony. I hope you guys liked this video, and if you did, please like it and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Off Air and Online. We're trying to do big things here, and we hope this fills you up just as we are doing as well here. See you next time.